Now it's 2 p.m. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to join today's webinar hosted by Anderson and Associates Law PC. I'm Timothy Liu, a law clerk at Anderson Associates. Yeah, today's webinar is to provide a brief introduction to the fiscal year 2024 H-1B application. As you know, this year H-1B season is coming soon. We hope today's webinar will provide you with some useful information. Now I'm going to introduce today's speaker, Ms. Yan Anderson. Ms. Anderson is the founder and the managing principal of Anderson Associates Law. She is an expert in immigration law practice. She is one member of American Immigration Lawyer Association. In 2022, she was awarded as a rising star among 26 professionals by the New York Law Journal, and also a rising star in immigration law practice by Super Lawyers. Ms. Anderson has rich experience in H-1B application, H-1B RFE response, and the EB-2, EB-3 green card application. Yeah. After Ms. Anderson gives the webinar, there will be a Q&A session. If you have any H-1B related questions, please feel free to text a message or turn on your mic. Yeah, once again, thank you for your coming. And now I will give the time to Ms. Anderson. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Timothy. So I will share my screen. So like Timothy introduced earlier, I am the founder and the managing principal of Anderson and Associates Law PC. Our firm, we have specialized in immigration law for the past 10 years, and with the very experienced and qualified lawyers in our team, we would love to serve you. And I'll start with the presentation. So this year, 3 years ago, USCIS used this electronic registration system to collect all the H-1B registrations. So as opposed to a few years ago where USCIS will open the H-1B window on April 1st, and all of the either the petitioners itself or the immigration lawyers will help put together the petition and then mail it to USCIS. They use this electronic registration system. So it kind of simplified the whole process. So you basically just need to enter some of the information that we will introduce below, and USCIS will run the lottery. And if you get through the lottery, then you put together the whole petition and mail it. So first here we want to share with you this process. First of all, the employer, you will need to first register a USCIS online account. And after you successfully register this online account, you can either input the H-1B beneficiary information in the registration system, or you can work with a firm like ours, and we will be your lawyer to help you enter the beneficiary information. So here are the information that you will need at the time of registration. First of all, as a petitioner, you will need to put in your company name, your EIN number, your office address, and the authorized signatory contact information. Basically, the person who is going to sign on the application. And from the beneficiary, basically the employees that you are hiring with this H-1B visa, you will need the first and last name, the date of birth, the country of birth, and the passport information. So the last information here that you will need is about the master's cap. So you need to decide whether this beneficiary is eligible to enter the master's cap. As you know, it's highly recommended to discuss with the attorney for this point, because it can be tricky sometimes. We've encountered a situation before where the beneficiary has a master's degree, but unfortunately, the master's degree, the degree itself is actually not eligible for this purpose because the job title that the company is going to offer this beneficiary is actually irrelevant with the master's degree that this beneficiary has. Then you actually cannot use that master's degree. So it is really, really important to have an attorney on your side and to strategize with you beforehand. And on the other hand, also, if the job title and the degree do match, but unfortunately the H-1B beneficiary is not like graduating yet by the time of registration, that's okay if this beneficiary is going to get the degree by the time of filing. So like, as you can see, like there is a different time, right? Like when you enter the registration, and that would be most likely this year in March. And there's a different time when you file the application, and it's usually end of June. And most of the people, if they are newly graduating, they're graduating in like sometime in May, right? So then if this person is actually graduating this May, and will really for sure get the degree, then you can still enter this person with a master's cap. So here I want to talk about the essential parts of the process of the H-1B electronic registration. So here is several important dates. Like as I mentioned in the previous slide, like there are several dates that you really need to pay attention to, and especially in terms of the immigration here in the US, the date is always very, very important. If you miss the date, there is no grace period or things of that sort for the H-1B registration purpose. So at the moment, as of the date of this webinar, USCIS hasn't announced the exact registration period, but based on last year's information, we want you to kind of kind of mark your calendar with the following date. So last year on February 22nd, that's the day when USCIS opened their website to create the H-1B registration account. So they opened it at noon, the Eastern Standard Time on February 22nd. So that's the time when you can start going in USCIS and try to register an employer account. And on March 1st, that will be the first day. And again, it's at noon Eastern Standard Time when USCIS opened the registration. And on March 18, so approximately 18 days, USCIS opened this H-1B registration window. And again, it's noon Eastern Standard Time. So if you are a petitioner on the East Coast, then you do it at noon. That will be the last time that you can enter the registration. But if you happen to be on the West Coast, like in California, then you really need to pay attention to it because your deadline will be 9 a.m. your time. So you definitely want to kind of have enough time for like your registration. And then March 31st, that's the day by which USCIS intend to notify the selected registrants. So basically on March 18th, they closed the window of registration. And then during the next 2 weeks period, USCIS run the lottery and they will start sending out messages. And excuse me, they will start sending out messages and then let you know that you're getting selected, or in some cases you are getting denied, or your status hasn't changed. And then so like they will kind of come in waves. And then by March 31st, they will finish all the notifications. And April 1st will be the earliest day that H-1B cap subject petition might be filed. So the second part I want to talk about in terms of the essentials is the registration fee. So this year it's still gonna remain the same. It's still $10 per registration. USCIS did have an announcement in terms of the fee adjustment. They've send out the whole list of the like the fee adjustment in terms of the H-1B registration. They say it will be raised to about $295, but that won't apply to this year. Basically the fee adjustment is still at the in the notice and comment period, and we're not sure if it's gonna go through yet. And USCIS did say for this year it will still be $10 per registration. So you pay it on another website. So you don't pay it on the USCIS website. You actually pay it at another website called pay.gov. And you can use a bank account. You can use a debit card or a credit card to pay. And the other part of the registration process is that the employer must attest to a legitimate job offer that's connected to each registration. So this is under the penalty of perjury. So this is indeed a very serious issue. They are basically a lot of registrations getting entered, especially with a $10 fee. And a lot of the beneficiaries are trying to increase their chance of getting through this lottery by asking the employer either to enter multiple registrations or finding like multiple employers to putting like many registrations for one beneficiary. So like this is very important for the employers to know that when you submit this app like a registration, you are actually making a attestation that this registration is connected to a legitimate, basically a bona fide job offer. So this is just something to really keep in mind and discuss with your attorney. And so, as I said, each employer can only do one registration per beneficiary. So the employer cannot enter multiple application. Starting last year, the online registration system has a function to basically detect like the duplicate registrations. So, you know, it's really highly recommended if you have, let's say, affiliates or related entities to really discuss it with your attorney before you file the registration. If you are really thinking about doing multiple registrations for one beneficiary, this is definitely something that you want to discuss with your attorney. So next, in terms of the process, I want to share more on the beneficiary side. So if you are a beneficiary, you really need to be eligible for H-1B with at least your master's degree or, at least your bachelor's degree or a master's degree or higher on the date of filing of the petition, not the date of the H-1B registration. So like I mentioned earlier, if you are a newly graduate, then you are expecting to graduate, let's say sometime in May, you can still enter the registration through your employer like in March. And as long as at the time of filing, you have your your degree that make you eligible, then you will be okay. The deadline to submit the H-1B petition after you get through the lottery is June 30th. So USCIS allowed you to start filing the H-1B petition on April 1st. And then like pretty much April, May, June, you have 3 months to put together the petition and send it out to USCIS, unless you have some special situations. And most of the time, it's because of the OPT. So let's say you have graduated in 2022 and you have an OPT, and your OPT actually ends in May this year, in 2023, May. And then so if your employer register you in the H-1B registration process in March and you get through the lottery, you will have to file your petition before that expiration date of the OPT. Let's say if it's March, I'm sorry, if it's May 1st, then you have to get the application to USCIS by May 1st, as opposed to June 30th, because you will have to do that so that you can continue working and enjoy the cap gap rule, which will help you get the OPT extended to September 30th. And then so during that time, you will be able to still work. Your work won't be interrupted. Your salary won't be interrupted. So that's something that you definitely want to pay attention to. And if the beneficiary hasn't graduated on the day of registration, but will obtain the degree before the end of June, at that time, like as I said, the company can still submit the registration on the beneficiary's behalf. So let's talk about the lottery. Every year, there is only a limited number of new H-1B petitions that can be adjudicated every year. So that's what it's called, the H-1B cap. So according to the regulation, every year there's only 65,000 regular cap petitions that can be adjudicated, and 20,000 the US advanced degree petition. So it's so-called the master's degree, or the higher, the master's cap. And please do pay attention here. It has to be a US advanced degree. So if you are going through the regulars cap and you have a bachelor's degree and it happens to be a degree from a foreign country, as long as you can get an evaluation and get a US degree equivalent, you can enter the regular cap. But in order to enjoy that additional 20,000, like the master's cap, the master's degree that you obtain has to be from a US accredited institution. So if you are qualified for a master's cap, that's a very, very big advantage, because you will be put into the master's cap pool, and USCIS will run the lottery first to pick out 20,000 applicants. And then if you didn't get through the lottery, you'll actually be put back into the regulars cap pool, and the USCIS will run the lottery again to pick out 65,000 like applicants. So you basically go through the lottery twice. So that's why it's very important, if you have a US master's degree or higher, and your degree is matching with the job offer that your employer is giving you, then you have that higher chance of getting through the lottery. So every year, more than 85,000 registrations were submitted. And then, so that's why USCIS has to run through this lottery. So if we put in like a perspective of like actual numbers, in 2021, over 300,000 registrations were submitted. And in 2022, USCIS did not announce the exact number, but we estimate there's approximately about 500,000 registrations were submitted. So if you do the math, out of 500,000, only 85,000 got selected. So that's about 17%. So pretty much it's like 1 out of 7 people. So the chance is very, very slim. So if you do have a master's degree, that will really, really be helpful. So USCIS, they use this generated random selection process to do the lottery. So will you have a better chance if you are working for a bigger company? No. Will you have a better chance if you are from a certain country? No. Will you have a better chance if you graduated from Ivy League? Actually, no. It's completely random and completely blinded. So like like you don't like really need to worry like, oh, is my employer big enough, or it's a totally new company, or is my degree good enough? That doesn't matter. What matters is you just have to get into this registration process and then get the lottery. So if you are lucky, if you're that lucky star 1 out of 7, that you get through the lottery, then our firm will be able to help you with the H-1B application process as well. So as I mentioned earlier, you have 90 days to put together the petition and get that file mailed to USCIS. Most likely this year you will be again April 1st to June 30th. In terms of like the application process itself, first you have to file a labor condition application, what we call LCA, with the Department of Labor, as opposed to the Department of Homeland Security and USCIS. This is something that you always have to do when you're filing an H-1B. The Department of Labor is here to protect the US workers. And so when there is a foreign worker trying to get a job through an H-1B process, USC, Department of Labor will look at the labor condition application and make sure that the foreign worker is getting paid a prevailing wage according to his job title and the job level, so that the employers is not paying like a really low wage and kind of forgo the US worker and just flock to the foreign worker. And so attorneys like our firms, we will help you look at the job title, look at the job description, help you choose the correct code to file this labor condition application. And the job has to be a specialty occupation, which requires a theoretical and practical application of a body of specialized knowledge, along with a bachelor's degree or its equivalent. So the LCA will give a prevailing wage with a level 1 to 4 salary ranges. And then the petitioner must pay the beneficiary the prevailing wage or the actual wage, whichever is higher. So like in the past few years, there was this request for evidence regarding the level 1 salary, and our firm has been through this. We know how we can overcome the RFE. Most of the time when you are filing the H-1B, because you're hiring someone newly or you're hiring someone who just recently graduated, right? So like it is very normal to go with the level 1 wage. So like our firm, we know how to overcome that type of request for evidence. And then after you get the labor condition application certified by the Department of Labor, with that certified LCA, you can file the H-1B petition with the USCIS, either as a change of status petition if the beneficiary is in the US, or a consular processing if the beneficiary is outside of US. So the required documents include like copy of passport, copy of degree, a copy of the transcript and the petition letter, a copy of the previous employment or experience, and also like company documents, like the certificate of incorporation, the EIN, the company brochure, the media kit, the tax return to prove that you have the financial ability to pay the salary of this of this beneficiary. So in terms of the adjudication trend, this might be very, very helpful, especially if you're currently strategizing and putting together a list of beneficiaries that you want to sponsor. You want to know kind of the trend and like kind of a prediction of this year's adjudication. So starting in 2016, in the previous administration, it has become more difficult to obtain the H-1B approvals. And we are also seeing a lot more requests for evidence, things like the level 1 wage, the ability to pay off the company, the employer-employee relationship, the third-party worksite problem, the specialty occupation, or the maintenance of status. These are all the issues that can come up in the request for evidence. It's especially at the time, there was this executive order, the Buy America, Hire America. Even though with the current administration, this executive order is no longer effective, but we're still seeing like the rippling effect, especially that plus a lot of the pending regulations from the previous administration. The current administration did block a lot of them or delayed those pending regulations or withdraw those pending regulations. And USCIS also has resumed hiring so that they can bring their workforce back to about 95%, meaning they have enough people to spend sufficient time on each applications and to make sure that they understand the rules and policy manuals when they are adjudicating. But as I said, the rippling effect, and then so it's still a very, very tricky scenario where you can get a very surprising RFE. So it is very, very important to work with experienced lawyers like ours to help you put together a very strong and concise and accurate petitions together and kind of predict like what kind of issue that might arise during the adjudication process, and we can get the document in the original petition so that we can save you time and money and avoid the request for evidence. So it's getting a little better. If you look at the approval rate in 2021, it has gone back up to 97.3%, and the denial rate also dropped to about 4%. So a little bit of the treat for attending today's webinar. We help a lot of either the big companies, small companies, one-person company, very, very new company, tech companies, e-commerce companies, or media, entertainment, universities, not-for-profit, all sorts of petitioners to help them every year with H-1B applications. Our attorney fee to help with filing an H-1B registration is usually $750. Today, because of the webinar, we're giving you an exclusive offer to knock $100 off. This offer is lasting until February 1st, which is just a few days away. So if you have any interest or if you would like our consultation in terms of like strategizing or there is tricky applications that you're thinking of, and we can always be reached at these numbers listed here or the email to secure this discount. Here is our like website. We have WeChat, we have Facebook and YouTube channels. So you can, I think, use this barcode and then connect with us. So with that, I will open the floor for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Yanyi. Yeah, for everyone is line. If you have any H-1B related questions, you could either text from the chat room, or you could turn on your mic and you could yeah speak.
Yeah, for some person's degree, I have a question. For example, if they just have MD, this kind of degree, do you think it's okay to try the election?
So for like a Master of Divinity degree, and is it like what type of job is this beneficiary gonna do?
I think just business related, but not sure if they have CPT, something like that before. The CPT is related with business, so business mission. So not sure if this kind of case is okay to try the election, and if this has been elected, maybe move forward, try the H-1B registration.
Yeah, if the person actually only has a Master of Divinity degree and then like without like anything else like a MBA, that will actually be very, very difficult to kind of make that connection with a business related job title, because I understand maybe the person has a CPT, like so like maybe like there was a work experience, right? But because H-1B is just so emphasized on the degree itself, we've seen RFE before. Actually, the person was applying for a job as a financial analyst, and this person actually has an MBA degree plus a Master of Divinity degree. USCIS raised the issue like, oh, why, like, why is this person applying for a financial analyst degree? This is not, this person does not have the qualifying degree. And so eventually we did overcome that RFE, but that's specifically applicant actually has an MBA still. And then so we emphasized to USCIS about the classes that these beneficiary took under the MBA degree and how these classes are related to the financial analyst job position. And so eventually that RFE was overcome and the person got the H-1B approval. Like the second part about like is about the CPT. So like, because CPT, most of the time it's like a part-time position, and then it's connected to the school, right? And then so usually it's offered when the schools is in session. So like it will be like a 3-month at the time. And then so like the type of work experience letter that you can get from a CPT, it will be like, okay, so from January to April, and this person work 20-hour a week. So a lot of times, so it's very fragmented, like it's a part-time degree, a part-time job, and then also it's like a few months, and as opposed to like usually when people get the work experience, then they will be like, let's say 2 years, right? And then so that's possible that we can make a connection or even kind of build that in as in lieu of like a bachelor's degree. So let's say if this person has total 12 years of work experience, then it can be counted as a bachelor's degree. But the CPT is very, very fragmented, so it's very, very hard. So in terms of the MD, like we really would not recommend the H-1B job because it's just gonna be very hard.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay.
Is there so this time what we're talking about is all about like H-1B registration, which is for the H-1B cap subject petitions. So there is another category that's called the H-1B cap exempt. So if you are actually having an employer who is a nonprofit higher education institution or like affiliate to this type of nonprofit higher education or like research institution, you actually don't need to go through this H-1B registration process. Like your employer can file a H-1B petition for you anytime. And as I mentioned earlier, it's also for new H-1B petitions. So if you are considering amendment or change of employer, you don't need to go through this H-1B registration process either. I think there is a question in the chat about will the chance being selected lower if it's not the first time H-1B petition. So I'm assuming you mean like if it's you already tried several times of the registration, but did not get the lottery previously, or so like with the USCIS lottery system, like at least according to what USCIS has said, it's completely random and completely blind. And so like they would not like be looking at your past history of like entering the app, the registration. So like it should be like the chance is like still like just equal like before. There are like like predictions of like is there gonna be more or less registrations this year? Like it's very hard to say, especially with the recession in the horizon. It's highly possible that this year the registration will be lower. And so like the chance of like the people like this time entering the registration, it's possibly higher. There are a lot of big tech companies, they are laying off people. And so they certainly would slow down as well in terms of like entering the H-1B registration. So this is definitely something that you can be thinking about when you are strategizing and selecting people for your company. And the other thing that I thought about is the company's financial. So as I said earlier, we've helped like the new companies, even like a very new company or even no employees at all, for the H-1Bs and did successfully gain the approval. But if you are a established company, it is important to look at your tax return also. It is possible that you probably are running and especially with the COVID, hitting a lower year or a negative income year, that's okay. But if you can make us aware so we can explain to USCIS with additional information like your not just the income tax return, but also the 940, 941, which is the payroll tax return, to let USCIS know that you maintain your payroll, you are still financially viable. And this is just one of the low years. And you are hoping by adding this specific employee, like you will have a positive trajectory for the future. So all those things can be overcome, but we just need to be aware and be able to have an open communication with the client and strategize. So I think we're at the top of the hour. So
Yes, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Yanyi, and thank you everyone for your coming today. Yeah, we wish every applicant this year good luck. And yeah, our webinar will end here. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
thank you.